think if they make a pitching change, it would be him.
Here's another one.
Lujo strokes that one towards the gap.
What
Right
a play
by Curiel to rob Lujo and prevent 2 more runs from scoring. That's a super play right there by Curiel.
And we say good morning to you on a Wednesday, May the 13th. Buddy Sanji in the house here with another edition of Tigers Roar. Jonathan Poche behind the glass, my cohort and co-host for this show today. Marty Campbell, as always, making us look as good as possible with the camera work. We hope that you are doing well on this hump day here in the capital city of Baton Rouge. Yes, unfortunately, we've got the sunglasses back out because it has been, for you Tiger fans, probably the worst athletic year in a long, long time. We had to show a highlight of LSU baseball. Derek Curiel, he continues to make great plays in the outfield. Some of the new guys are coming around, but as we all know, it has been unprecedented for the 4th time in 5 weekends. The other team had to use the broom as LSU gets swept at Georgia this past weekend. And the crazy thing about these sweeps, not only is it unprecedented, and many of you have never lived a day to see LSU at 9-18 with one SEC weekend left, but anything that could go wrong has gone wrong. As we always say, Jonathan Poche, JP, life is 10% of what happens and 90% of how you deal with it. But look, the faintest of hopes, yes, LSU could sweep Florida this weekend and then go and win a couple games and maybe be on the bubble. But if history says anything about this year, JP, it is going to be an end to LSU baseball. Oh, by the way, the SEC baseball tournament starts next Tuesday. We are not sure exactly when LSU will play. But, JP, one of those years where unprecedented, and it has been a tough pill to swallow for everybody who is a baseball fans. Tiger fans are still showing up as they did in droves at Georgia. But the inability to hold on to leads, and, of course, it happened again in the Friday night game. LSU with a nice big fat lead and inexplicably gives up the 3-run dinger with Gavin Guidry to lose 11-8. Had a lead on Saturday, got beat 13-8, and then just got their butts kicked 12-1 on Sunday. So LSU 9-18. And not a lot of good vibes, and so we have the sunglasses on. But it's like that for all LSU sports this year. It has been a tough, tough year. JP, good to see you and Marty as always, and we hope that all of you are going to continue to watch our programs here on Tigers Roar. We've got a lot of exciting things coming up here for football. We're going to talk football in a little bit because we've got some interesting news about the first game and game day and the Ole Miss game. But, JP, happy to be with you, and as always, hope that you and your family are doing well on this hump day here in the capital city.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, Bud, man. Great to see you as well. Of course, I'm donning the sunglasses because I finally have to admit this LSU baseball team is not going to make the postseason. I was, holding out hope, Bud, man, as long as anyone, especially in the media, that Coach Jay Johnson would be able to tinker with the lineup and find the right group of guys. And unfortunately, it just seems like everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for this season with Coach Jay Johnson. You talk about from injuries to infield play, bullpen strikes, timely hitting. You go through the list. And then you look at a guy like Stephen Milam, who's the best defensive shortstop in baseball. He struggled offensively last season. He turned it up in the postseason, was a huge part of that postseason run all the way to the championship. This year it's been a struggle, gone down under 250 at times, and truly he had to be a guy. He had to be one of those guys on offense for this LSU team. You lose Jay Brown. He was your best player, and the rest is pretty much history. It is time for a reality check. Yes, it is the most difficult thing to do in sports is to repeat, much less to win 3 and 4 years, Bud, man. So Jay Johnson, I still think, is the best coach in college baseball. Look, you mentioned it, a lot of young guys did get some time to play this season. It looks promising for the young freshmen who did turn it on towards the end of the season. They were playing meaningful baseball with 2 SEC series left, which, I mean, truly that's all you can hope for in this parity-filled season of SEC baseball. You pick Georgia just at the wrong time. You need to win a series. You get the best team in the SEC. They showed why against a desperate LSU team. They pounded them in Game 2 and Game 3. Very calm in the game on Friday. They take a big deficit early. They just chip away and get the big home run, 2 big home runs to win the Friday game. So not enough strikes for 1, a lot of pass balls for 2, and just a timely hitting, and the errors have just bit LSU all season. Then you throw on top of with the injuries. And, yeah, it's easy to look forward to football season, Bud, man, because I don't think any Tiger fans are going to be having those Jell-O shots that they had from that place out in Omaha. But, look, you're the best coach in baseball. You revamp for next year. You reload with a lot of great talent coming back. I do want to ask you, though, while we're talking about baseball, I know you follow it as close as anybody. When it comes to position players, who do you think is even coming back for this team next year? What could this roster possibly look like in 2027?
Yeah, you mentioned Rocco's in Omaha where you go to the shots. If you want to go to Rocco's, you're going to have to go see our buddy off of Drusilla Lane and get your roast beef po' boy, the legendary Rocco Morrow. That's about the only Rocco's that Tiger fans will be dealing with. And as we talk about this lineup, look, Jay Johnson has tried everything in his book to get these guys off the snide. I have been of one and have told JP, I just think they've been overworked and not having fun and just baseball. JP is a coach. You know you have to drill that into it. But the schedule didn't do him any favors. You go to Texas and you come back at 1 in the morning and you're playing that Tuesday night game. You do the same thing this year with Florida, getting back here at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then all of a sudden you got another game. And not only, and JP, you know, I talked to you about this, but I do think Jay sometimes overdoes it. When there's a game at 6:30, and he's got him out there practicing at 1 o'clock for an hour and a half. And then you've got a 3-4 hour game. Then you get dressed, and here it is. You've been out at the park 8 hours, and inexplicably, they've lost 4 or 5 of those Tuesday games. And so, not to get on a long diatribe, but and then you got the injuries. As everybody knows, Cooper Moore out for the year. Kason Evans did get a little bit. They were on a 50-pitch limit for him on Sunday. And, of course, he gave up the grand slam before they took him out. And so, really, you look, when you talk about Cade Anderson and Anthony Eisen and Chase Shores on those three guys and how important they were for the national championship team, then you can see it's not even close. But as you alluded to, JP, we'll kind of interact a little bit. Who's coming back from position players? Well, you got 2 catchers. Omar Cerna is a freshman. He's been fantastic. Cade Arambidi is a sophomore, and he's been great with the bat. They have incredibly had problems with pass balls, wild pitches, bases on balls, hit pitchers, errors. All of those things are freebies that they've given the other team. 13 walks the other day in one game against Georgia. And so those catchers have struggled to alleviate the problems with all of the wild pitches. JP, they've had some wild pitches 20, 30 feet out of above somebody's head or behind him or, you know, anyway. So you got those 2 great catchers coming back. At first base, Mason Braun is coming back. He's the kid from Notre Dame. I'll say Notre Dame, South Bend, Indiana. You're not going to play baseball at Notre Dame if you're really a college player and want to go far. You come down here in the South from South Bend, done a good job. He can also play some outfield. Jack Ruckert is the second baseman now from Catholic High. He had a couple bumps in the road early on with his defense, but has picked that up appreciably. Milam, and, you know, I hate to take issue with Coach Johnson. I know he's trying to promote, but in my humble opinion, Stephen Milam is not the greatest shortstop that LSU's ever had. There are plenty more, including Alex Bregman, Russ Johnson, Brandon Larson. There are plenty of them. And like JP, you alluded to, Milam has not had the clutch hit this year. He's only made 2 errors. He's been great defensively. We know that. Only made 5 last year. He's one of the better defensive shortstops, but he has not been. Now, he's a good switch hitter, but has not had that timely home run and big hit this year. At third base, John Pearson, who lost about 15 or 20 pounds before the season, probably needs to lose another 10 or 15. He's played some third base and been decent at times. Stanley's been hurt in left field. Curiel is a great player at center field and making a lot of great catches and has led LSU batting, especially since Jake Brown's been out. And then Brown's been out. Brown is done. Curiel is done. Stanley is done. Caraway is done, who played some third base earlier.
Yep.
Milan, JP, as we talk about on the radio show every day, you lose all your leverage if you come back as a senior. So you expect Milan to go.
Yep.
And then Big Papa, who's been on the bench pretty much for the last month or so, he's not coming back. And so you sit here and you say, man, oh, man, Jay Johnson's got a lot of rebuild, and this will be a rebuild. But as you alluded to earlier, JP, if anybody can rebuild this program and team, and really that's what you're building now, folks. You're not building a program anymore. You're building a team because JP, with the transfer portal and the money and all the other things, it's hard to retain these players. And LSU lost a bunch in the portal last year. Ryan Costello and others. And so if anybody can do this, you know Jay Johnson can do it. And, oh, by the way, 2 out of 3 national championships. I got people from A&M, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Florida, Tennessee. Everybody going to kick sand up on your purple and gold beach towel this summer. Just throw it off and say, how many championships you guys had in baseball? You have an intimidator. You got to fire back with that. But, boy, it's been tough for the loyal LSU baseball fan this year.
Yeah, but man, you mentioned Jay Johnson and how LSU baseball faithful have to have just that they had to be faithful in Coach Jay Johnson. I mean, the guy works harder than any other coach I've ever seen at the position through analytics, through player-specific plans, through counts, specific counts and at bats. Like he has. An outlook, a plan, something he wants to execute for every at-bat. Look, he hit a wall a little bit this season. He had a very unusual post-game press conference one time. He was like, look, we messed up. We tried to go out into the portal and grab these kids that were trying to hit power. We're going to home grow our power from now on. Like he mentioned Jake Brown and Jared Jones. And, I do think they're going to change or attempt to change the way they attack a lineup each season. But unfortunately, this is the world we live in. You just mentioned you have to build a team. You're not building a 3, 4-year, 5-year program. Fortunately, LSU fans, you're the best coach in college baseball, and that coach gets to recruit to a program that is at the very top of the list across the nation when it comes to championships, facilities, sponsors, opportunities for kids off the field, NIL deals. LSU is an easy gig to sell, and truly, what's going to turn into this next phase of NIL? How are you going to get these high school kids to forego the MLB draft and come to LSU? It's going to be competitive, but you got to get the money in the door. And I think if there's anybody at the program at LSU in the building, Jay Johnson certainly deserves all the support that he can get from the boosters and the NIL collective.
Yeah, great point there at the end. LSU did have 5 or 6 recruits this year that went pro. That is the other X factor in baseball, and that is that and they're going to lose some of these kids that they've got committed and signed this year. It's one of the problems that you have in baseball. You get a kid, whether he's a state kid or out-of-state kid. As we know, baseball recruiting is pretty much across the country. They come from all over. And you see this kid, you foster a relationship, you're working for a year or two, you get him to sign, and all of a sudden his senior year he blows up, and he says, Coach, sorry, this is my dream. I'm going to play single-A ball and try to make it to the major leagues, and that also has been a part of the equation. But, JP, I think the biggest disconcerting problem that the fan base has had is the lack of development with the pitchers. Now, look, everybody knows Chase Shores was throwing it 97 last year, but he didn't know where it was going, whether it was on the right side, the left side, on top, below, in the dirt, whatever, and he developed. Of course, Cade Anderson's lighting it up. He's going to be in the major leagues before long. Anthony Eisen lighting it up. He will be a major league pitcher. And Chase Shores, of course, with that kind of stuff, is going to be in the big leagues. And when you take away 3 arms like that, that's a lot of innings. And unfortunately, a lot of these guys, you take Gavin Guidry, I mean, what are you going to get in this game where William Schmidt started on Friday night? He had a shaky first inning. LSU put the 2 spot up on the first inning. They got a lead. And all of a sudden, Schmidt had trouble with the strike zone. And I got to tell you some good news. I'm going to give you some positive stuff. JP, let's interact real quick. ABS coming to the SEC tournament. If you don't know what that means, that's the automated ball strike. And each team has 3 challenges. The only people who can challenge are the batter, the pitcher, and the catcher. And you have to challenge and tip the hat before the next pitch. When you do that, that is a challenge, and you will see them focus in on if the baseball was indeed a strike. Now, JP, you know, I've got friends that are umpires and referees and the whole 9 yards, but it's incredible how many of them wear glasses, JP. And look, I'm not going to say all of them have a problem with the eyesight, but this is one of my pet peeves for many, many years. The SEC umpires squeeze pitchers too often, and so experimental basis. Of course, it's already been implemented at the Pro League. I think this is a good thing, and I'm sure whenever you have a transition for the first time, you're going to learn the nuances. But interesting to see how many times LSU will challenge. Now, if you challenge and you're right, you keep the challenge. If you challenge and you're wrong, you lose it. So I think it's going to hopefully lead a little bit better umpiring because, man, it's the toughest thing. You've got a son that pitches. It's the toughest thing for the psyche of a pitcher. You paint it on the corner for 2-2. You don't get the call. All of a sudden, the catcher throws it back to the pitcher. You see him spitting, putting his mouth, going like, what do I have to do to get a strike? Then he grooves one and then gives up a 3-run homer. And the next thing you know, he's lost his confidence and he's got the screaming Reds.
Yeah, but, man, unfortunately, that is a part of baseball. And we've talked about it on this show before. I think being an umpire is extremely difficult. Now, I've done it for kids' games, and I think these guys absolutely get it right more than they get it wrong. They are very good at their jobs. But having said that, there's no doubt after this experimental time in the SEC tournament that they're going to implement it for next year. You saw them do it with the safety bases a couple years back. They implemented a trial run for the SEC tournament. The next year, it was for the whole league. The technology is just too good, too quick, too efficient not to use for these big moments in these games when a ball and strike absolutely does determine a game. And yeah, you just mentioned it. If you're a pitcher, you think you got the corner, you can challenge now. You don't have to have that in your mind thinking, man, he blew that. Now I got to groove one over the middle. And in this league, mistakes get crushed. And truly, it's a matter of inches. You want to be able to nibble at that corner. You want the umpires to be consistent throughout the inning. You mentioned squeezing guys at times. I think that's sometimes it's natural for an umpire to see how a guy's positioned around the plate as the hitter to kind of change his eyesight, his eye level of where the balls and strikes are. It's not always directly over the plate. That's 17 inches of plate. Plus, it's a white ball going over that white plate at 98 miles an hour. I'm happy they're trying it out, but, man, LSU's going to have to kind of work around with these catchers. Now, the catchers have struggled. You talked about it a little bit ago. Or are they going to know the zone well enough to know, when to challenge, when not to? It's going to be a trial and error, but I think the ABS is going to find its way into college baseball, especially into the SEC permanently next season.
I appreciate you taking up for the umpires, but, folks, earlier this year there was a game at Yankee Stadium, and I want to say that the umpire was wrong double-digit times on balls and strikes. And so, look, I umpired a little bit, too, when I was growing up. And, man, there's nothing worse than hearing the mom and dad saying, Johnny, swing. Mr. Umpire's tired. He's calling everything a strike. We understand. It's very passionate. And it's a big part of the game of baseball, but I do think that it will improve. And I had a list last year of 6 that were really, really bad, And we'll see. Now, I don't think the Tigers can make a run. Before we go to break, how many games do you think that they could win in the SEC tournament this year, JP?
Don't put that on me, bud, man.
One?
They're gonna have to play very well, which they're capable of. They might win a game, bud, man, but the confidence is just shot. As soon as they get down in the game, I don't think they're really gonna be able to mentally stay in it, claw every pitch, fight back, work to get on base. And look, they understand that their season is pretty much over. We'll see what happens this weekend against Florida. Maybe they gain some momentum, bud, man. But getting swept by Georgia, they might get swept by Florida. That's also a pretty good team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see where the confidence level is at. Right now, it's mental for LSU. I mean, physically, they're all talented. They're playing at one of the top 3 programs in college baseball in America. So, yeah, they have the talent. They were dudes at one time. This year hasn't worked out. But if they all, flip on that switch and really determine mentally, they could win a couple games. But we'll see how this weekend goes first.
All right, don't forget LSU softball is still playing. They got the final seed to host a regional. They came in as the 16 seed. They will host Akron on Friday afternoon. Virginia Tech was the team that LSU edged out. They probably were the 17th seed. They are in this bracket, and so Beth Torina and the Lady Tigers will have their hands full out at Tiger Park this weekend. Don't forget about our friends over at Goodwood Grill. Good food, good friends, good times, and always great, consistent food. Corner of Goodwood and Terra Boulevard, 927-7550, or www.goodwoodgrillbr.com. Get on over there. JP loves the chicken fried steak. Everybody loves the burgers, shrimp, pasta, of course, not pasta, but obviously all of your po' boys, chicken, gumbo, anything that you want. And if you've got an hour to spend, fine. They're very busy once again at lunchtime, but they do take corporate orders. 927-7550, Goodwood Grill. Tell them Buddy and JP sent you over. Back, we'll talk about football. Can you believe it? Game day is coming to LSU for the first game, the Battle of Death Valley. Game day will be setting it up. And, oh, by the way, that's at 6:30, the opening game on September 5th. And 2 weeks later, I don't know how much security they're going to have at that stadium, but you're going to need plenty as LSU Ole Miss, once again, 6:30, both of those games on ABC. Quick timeout, back on a Wednesday, right here, Buddy Sanji, Jonathan Poche, Marty Campbell, and all of our folks over here at Tigers Roar TV, radio. We hope that all the mothers had a great weekend. We'll be right back after this.
Embrace the luxury, safety, and comfort of a new Mazda at Team Mazda. Right now, get 1.9% financing for 60 months on a new Mazda CX-5 or a new Mazda CX-50. Find spring savings on your new Mazda here at Team Mazda on Airline.
When I started this practice over 35 years ago, I had one goal: to treat every patient like family. And over the years, I've watched kids grow up in this office, come back as parents, and now I'm seeing their kids in the same chair. That kind of trust, it's not something we take for granted. This isn't just where we do dentistry. It's where we make people feel at home. Frugier Family Dentistry, where you treat it like family. Call or visit FrugierFamilyDentistry.com to schedule.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
Looked up to the skies, I see the desire in your eyes, but you can't keep it in your heart. 'Cause misery loves company. 'Cause misery loves company. Cold and hungry like a dog in the street. I get a raw deal every one.
And we welcome you back, and now we're going to get into a little bit of a football mindset here, folks. Very exciting time if you're an LSU football fan. JP, I have never heard of the broadcast availability, the network and the times coming out this early. Usually it could be in July, sometimes early August, but inexplicably, and I'm going to make the prediction right now, JP. I'm in the predicting mode. You will see Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit and that team in Tiger Stadium on the night of September 5th. Game day, JP, has been a long time since game day has been as popular as it was when it first started 20-plus years ago. But game day and LSU hosting Clemson the first weekend, September 5th at 6:30, and then 2 weeks later against Ole Miss, that barn burner at 6:30 as well on ABC. But do you ever remember TV dates and TV times released this early? I don't.
No, that's a great point. I don't remember either. I don't remember game day being week 1 at LSU either. Hopefully they keep the cuss words to like afternoon at least with this game day experience. Pat McAfee, you mentioned it. I mean, he gets the crowd going. It's so popular now. Everybody shows up so early. You start drinking. You had the slip and slide out there. You're making jambalaya in the back. Certainly was excited before College Game Day announced that they were coming week 1 to Baton Rouge, but now that just adds so many more eyeballs to this game. Lane Kiffin's first home game as LSU head coach. I know he's looking forward to it, but man, can you withstand the brightest lights in America? Now, everybody said this whole time it's just different here in Baton Rouge, especially Saturday nights in Death Valley. The stage is set. Lane Kiffin, you got to come through and put a performance on the field to live up to this hype, because, from now until that game, that kickoff, there's going to be lots of talk about the roster, how much money they spent on NIL, the starting quarterback, the left tackle. You go through the list. His daughter's dating the middle linebacker. They're going to be talking all week about this game, LSU-Clemson. So couldn't have more eyeballs on the program right now. Certainly, you mentioned it, an exciting time for LSU football fans.
All right, as you see, I have the black and blue garb on today. Get you a black hat. This one's from one of our great sponsors, Dan and Daniel McNamara. Daniel turns 30 this year, so happy birthday to you, Daniel. Buy you apparel, everythinglsu.com. But, JP, get ready for the black hat. Lane Kiffin, Kim Mulkey, Will Wade, those three are what we call controversial coaches that solicit many opinions. And all I can tell you, folks, is that the latest storm, Lane Kiffin did a 4-hour interview with Vanity Fair. Now, the problem when you talk that long is that you never know what's going to be used. But there were some excerpts that came out in the interview. Basically, Coach Kiffin saying, there were some mamas and grandmas that didn't want to come to Ole Miss because of the Confederate flag and Dixie and all that other stuff. I've talked to a bunch of media people in the last 24 to 48 hours. We feel like that was probably more of a problem 20 or 30 years ago. But, man, the Ole Miss people, once again, they picked up a new corporate sponsor that will be at Vaught Hemingway this year. You know who it is, huh, JP?
Tampax.
Boudreaux's Butt Paste. I have had to send 500,000 jars over to Oxford because they are still very, very butthurt with the departure. And here's Lane. He loves to troll. He loves to stir it up. If there's anybody that loves to stir the pot and get a reaction, it's Lane Kiffin. But anyway, he did come back to apologize and said, look, I don't want to make this to come off as a shot at Ole Miss. And then Steve Sarkisian piles on yesterday and talks about their academics and said, look, you don't have to go to class over there. You can get in and just take basket weaving, and they'll give you a degree. And so a lot of piling on with the Rebels. I would think that by the time we get to this opening weekend, and then LSU better take care of business, because when you point your finger at somebody, JP, there's 3 point right back at you. And we know that Kiffin loves to get on Twitter. Hell, he sent something out to Ole Miss and Tennessee a couple of weeks ago. Don't you guys already miss me? Well, he's going to play at Ole Miss in week 3, and he's going to play at Tennessee in game 11, which will be week 12 after the open date. And so, man, oh, man, you just hope that everybody can back up. But a lot of exciting promise, and we've got a couple of guys that are going to be big parts of this football team interviews. But, JP, you usually are pretty objective about this. What's your mindset that you feel like the fans should have going into the first year of Lane Kiffin in Baton Rouge?
Well, the financial backing has already been put, out in the public. LSU fans, they're seeing the same stories that nationwide, that they spent, like around $40 million for this roster. So right there, boom, expectations that we're going to compete in the SEC. The offense is going to be electric. They're going to be high tempo. They're going to be a physical football team. Defensively, you know what you're getting with Blake Baker, with the returning guys that they brought in this scheme that already have years of experience and playmaking ability. So the expectations are super high. But Bud, man, I mean, year one in a new program with a complete rebuild, I think that's kind of getting overlooked by the number, that 40 million number, to bring in all these new guys. Yes, obviously these players are talented, but they have to buy into this scheme. Football is a war. Football is a war on Saturdays. Sometimes you get your feelings hurt. How are you going to come back on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and regroup, physically, mentally, emotionally, lock in, and are they going to be able to, buy in immediately? Everybody, pull the same direction. These are things that, you have to be able to, like Missouri, the show me state. You got to kind of prove it before you can say, all right, this is a good team. Now, on paper, very talented. Now, expectation-wise, I don't think I'm in the minority by saying I think LSU fans are expecting 9 or 10 wins this season.
Sure.
Now, that's going to be difficult. This is a very powerful league. Obviously, week in and week out, you're playing teams that have 4, 5, 6 draft picks potentially in April on the roster. So there's going to be a lot of talent. There's going to be hostile environments. There's going to be 90,000 fans screaming in your face. Sometimes 11 in the morning after a very long trip to Tennessee. Look, you're going to have to go earn it, Bud, man. But I think to start off with the expectations of 9-win season, a 10-win season in year one, after you had an almost complete roster turnover, that doesn't happen in a lot of places in America. Now, you bring in the exact coach you want in Lane Kiffin, a guy that has a proven track record of winning on the field, but also, unceremonious exits. I think all LSU fans are kind of expecting that one day this is all going to blow up. This is all going to have, another Twitter war that, people in Baton Rouge are going to be cussing out Lane Kiffin one day. But until then, they want to experience the sweeter things, the finer life of having a competent, well-fueled machine of an offense in this day and age of college football. You want to see points. 2019 gave us all the points that we could stand. You want some version of that back in Baton Rouge. That's why you put up with the trolling on Twitter. That's why you put up with the antics from Lane Kiffin, because he's proven, his offenses are always dynamic. He picks players and fits a system around them, and it has worked. And whether it be the tempo or the creativity and play design, whatever it is, it has worked for him, and hopefully it works in Baton Rouge. I'll ask you, Bud, man, you were around spring practices. You had them every Tuesday after, great exposure to the media. You got to ask him questions every Tuesday. What were your initial impressions of Lane Kiffin, and did those kind of change as you got to interact with him, week in and week out, while he took time to answer these questions after practice?
Well, the first thing is that I think everybody in the media was certainly surprised that we had so much access generally when you're coming in here, and Lane Kiffin is not given a lot of access. But this is an insatiable appetite that you LSU fans have. That's why we have so many shows, podcasts, TV. I mean, this thing is covered left and right, up and down. Everybody knows anytime somebody says anything, you got a microphone in front of you, and there is interest there. We've got a couple of guys that I think are going to hopefully exemplify what this transfer portal is going to mean to LSU. Listen, 43 players in the portal, 17 new recruits. That's 60 new players for LSU, and you want guys that can plug and play. JP, one of the things that we're yet to find out, but I think it's going to end up positive, can you, in a short period of time, go out in the portal and bring guys in who are going to solicit big money, but yet have the character to do the right things? It just was released a week or so ago. Jordan Seaton, the left tackle, is going to make a package worth about $4 million this year. By the way, you're quoting $40 million. Scarborough tells me it's more than that. There was something released yesterday. I think it's closer to 45 to 48 million for this team. And oh, by the way, Ohio State's roster is costing $55 million a year. JP, it's not going to be long before long where these rosters are going to be 80, 90, and 100 million. That is the way we are headed. Here's Jordan Seaton, big number 77, came to LSU from Colorado. He was a little chunky there at about 330. Now he's in the 305 range. Here's the opportunity the media had to talk with Jordan Seaton. Got a chance to be a great one in a first-round pick. Once again, Jordan Seaton, welcome to Baton Rouge. Let's see what you have to think about him after this interview.
Jordan, first off, can we talk about your body transformation? When you left Colorado, how much did you weigh, and now what do you weigh now?
When I left Colorado, I feel like I was at a good point, but I feel like coming here, the transition from how I eat to how we work out here, is just kind of different.
So, remember what you weighed though? Were you 330 there, and now
about like 320ish,
320ish,
315. Right now I'm at like 305, 307, like 15, 16% body fat.
We were talking to Tradez, and he said, I think y'all live in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
He said you'll see people working out like on the levees, and you get like jealous. Talk about your new workout regime and how it's affecting you.
So it's crazy. So it was a random person. He was running hills, right? So Tradez was like, "Hey man, you trying to run hills on Saturday?" I'm like, "I'm down." I was like, I already thought about it because I just seen somebody randomly running hills. I'm like, it just made me feel like he was outworking me. So I was like, we gotta run hills. So we were on the same page without even knowing, which was crazy.
Your decision to come to LSU from Colorado, can you kind of take us back? Because it was quite a courtship, and Coach Kiffin, I think, came out to see you. How did that all go down?
Yeah, my decision to come here was just based off, it just means more, Coach uses that quote, "It's just different here," and I really believe that. Being here is really just different from how we train to how we work. And the word extra around here. We're big on extra because just doing what's required is not enough.
You talk about it being different, your transition from Colorado here to Baton Rouge. Had you been to Baton Rouge before?
This is my first time, but I'm loving it.
I would ask you if you had eaten any good food, but it looks like you're on the straight and narrow, so you haven't really done.
Did have crawfish one time, that was good, but besides that, it's meal preps and protein shakes.
What kind of, for you to get here to take on that mindset of, hey, I'm gonna get my body right, where did that come from?
I got a chance to train with Will this off season, and just seeing his mentality and how he goes through his day, I kind of wanted to model, like I want to be myself, but take a little bit of like characteristics and attributes of him and how he goes about his day. And I wanted to be strictly just about my craft, about football, and LSU is the best place to do that at.
What is the kind of the vibe around the building with Coach Kiffin being the head coach here?
It's a different vibe, man. Like, it's just different. Like, You know, y'all probably may see him, like he said the other day, like you may see him do little activities like yoga and all that other stuff. But when it comes to work, that's what this place is about. Like, you don't come here to do nothing else but work. And like, that's what you're signing up for, and that's what he's going to let you know. Like, if you're coming here to work, he'll take you. If not, it's probably ain't the spot for you.
Have you ever played for a coach who is as active as he is on social media?
Yes. But, yeah, Coach Kiffin, I'm grateful to be able to play for him.
Who has impressed you with dunking on the goal?
Trey Dez, I'm not gonna lie. Trey Dez probably could have been a hooper if he wasn't so good at football. He could hoop, he could shoot. Freak, literally.
I was going to ask you, what have you seen from him on the field? But
He's a physical freak, and not from just like how he is in getting out his routes, but you got to watch him when we're in a run game. When we have our combos and when it's just me and him, like, he really takes pride in that. So I feel like that's different coming from a guy who's like, you know, like you want to be a big receiver, you want to catch the ball, but then he also embraces run blocking.
And this might be a silly question, but I'll ask it. I'm assuming you're talking about Will Campbell. How did you guys link up? Is it just because of the LSU connection, or were you familiar with him before?
Yeah, I got a chance to talk to him through FaceTime when I was at Colorado. But, you know, he was busy in season, I was busy in season, so we never really got to connect that much. But during the off season, we trained with a guy named Duke Mayweather. So it's just greatness all around. Like, I'm just trying to make sure from all-season training, from in the building, from when I go home, everything aligns with my process of what I want to do. Everything aligns with where I want to, like, what I want to achieve.
Last year, the weakest link was the offensive line for this team. Obviously, you want to set the standard. How is that kind of that shift with you guys? I know a lot of transfers, but bringing a different mindset for this year.
Yeah, I think the mindset now is just put the work in. We're not really worried about the outcome of everything right now. As long as we're going every day and putting the work in for that day and making sure we attack that day the best we can, the outcome is going to bring itself once you do the work. But when you worry about the outcome and stuff, that's when you start missing stuff because you're so worried about the end goal. So I think the work is what's changed around here because everybody's willing to put the work in.
I always like to ask this because it's, who would you say you're probably closest with on the team?
Oh, God. I can't do, like, one person because, like, all of us are literally intertied. I would say, like, I'm closest with the O-line. Just everybody. I can't even name just one person that I'm close with, but literally everybody. Like, everyone.
You're a Big 12 guy, Sam Leavitt, Arizona State. Can you talk about your relationship with him and how excited you are to be blocking for him this fall?
Yeah, I love Sam. It was crazy. This wasn't planned that we were supposed to go together, but you know, during the recruiting process, you know, wanted to make sure he had a tackle. So when he came here and I came here, it's kind of a no-brainer for us. We both have the same intentions. We both want to be that high pick. We both want to win a national championship. So everybody here has the same mindset.
You got to love a well-spoken young man, and how about that, folks? Sam Leavitt supposedly getting north of $5 million. Jordan Seaton getting around $4 million. If you're making $4 million, you better make sure those guys on your offensive linemen are going to eat well. And look, one of the things Lane Kiffin said in the spring, this unit is going to be appreciably improved. We will wait to see. You really never find out how good you are until you play somebody else. We all know that. Ty Benefiel, is he going to be a plug-and-play safety very similar to A.J. Halsey from last year? Here's our quick chat with the media and Ty Benefiel out at LSU.
I watched a lot of your YouTube clips, you know, when you at Boise State. When you hit, man, you bring the pain.
Yeah, you know. That's something that's, you know, I've never been, like, when I was younger, I was never a hitter. I started off as a quarterback. And, you know, what's funny is that I always used to avoid contact. And really, kind of what changed in my life was definitely, high school. I had some life-changing events, and it kind of shaped me to be the man I am today, but also helped me to really break down that barrier of contact. So every tackle that I approach is with relentless effort, and knowing that I got to make this play for my teammates. So, yeah.
From Boise, Idaho to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that's quite a change of pace.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It really is. I mean, Boise, Idaho was amazing and beautiful, and that's deep in my heart forever, for the rest of my life. And I'm so glad to be here, but I'm also glad to have the experience that I had with the coaching staff, the life, the brothers, the relationships that I created in Boise. But I'm excited for something here, and I'm really enjoying this transition to Baton Rouge.
And talking about Baton Rouge, what pulled you to Baton Rouge? And when you went into the portal, what were you sold on? Why did you decide to come to play for the Tigers?
Yeah, so for me, when I was considering my decisions, all those things, all those factors, I really believe in the spiritual kind of factor of that stuff. So trusting my heart and praying on it. The night before I made the decision to commit here, I had a dream. I envisioned myself making plays in this uniform and at this school, in that stadium, and I couldn't ignore that. I spoke to my dad about it, and my dad's a very similar guy. That's where I got it from. So, we talked about that, and we couldn't ignore. I couldn't ignore the feeling in my heart. So, yeah.
And I know the ultimate goal is to play in the NFL. Did the lure of playing at DBU and for Coach Raymond and that defense, was that part of the lure to come to LSU?
No, for sure. All those things were considered, and just that repertoire of, those DBs that were just, lights out guys, and lights out human beings as well, stood out to me.
Just curious, had you been to LSU before committing?
Yeah, I mean, I took a visit, but prior to that, no. Never been to Louisiana, Baton Rouge. Always thought about going to New Orleans, but never. Yeah, never. First time.
So being a California kid,
Yep.
How different is it from the West Coast to Baton
Yeah,
Rouge?
I mean, it really is different. It's just, I believe that, that Southern hospitality thing is real. I haven't come across any type of negativity being here, but it's just a different feeling. You know what I mean? The West Coast is the beaches, the inner city, big cities and stuff like that. Like, I'm an inner city kid all through and through. And so, being out here, you kind of get a little bit of country, you kind of get that bayou, and it's just real different, but it's amazing, it's cool.
You talked about your spirituality. It seems like Lane Kiffin kind of is on that same path.
Yep.
Have you had many conversations with him? How is he like?
Yeah, no, he's a great coach, and a great person too. Meeting him for the first time was definitely big for me. Kind of getting a feel for him and hearing how he sees me in this program and in the scheme, and especially with Coach Baker and Coach Olson and Coach Johnson, Coach Nojo as we call him, but kind of seeing those coaches for what they really were. You could tell that they wanted what was best for me, and they showed me what they had to offer, and it was also that confidence that they had, that stood out to me. So, but Coach Kiffin is a great coach, and I'm excited to play under him.
Any first impressions about Blake Baker? Because, I mean, I've been around football for a few years. I've only seen one coach come out with cleats. Your first impressions of him?
Yeah, no, Coach Baker has a similar approach to coaches that I've dealt with, in the past, and that's that coach that's hands-on and not afraid to, really, get in there and let you know how he feels and how it should be. Just a great coach who truly loves you. He's gonna get on you, but that's because he loves you, and that's how all the coaches are. And I'm very excited to play under all these coaches.
What would you say about the team chemistry so far? I know it's early, but have the guys kind of embraced you, or how would you say about that?
Yeah, defensively speaking, I feel that we're getting way closer day by day, and that's the most important thing. Is unity as a team. If you're all playing for each other and playing together, and especially if you have the people to do it, that's a scary thing. So it's been really good, and I'm excited to keep, furthering the relationships with the whole team. And I can't wait when, O and D, come together and it's that full team. because of course you got to figure out your size of the ball first. But when you all come together, like it's going to be really good.
59 new faces. You're one of them. Kind of. Is there anybody that you've maybe bonded with on the team that is new, or a veteran, or someone that's been here?
Yeah, I mean, I've really bonded with really everybody on the defense, to be honest with you. But I got to give a big shout out to my West Coast dog, Jackson Harris, number 4, the receiver. He's coming from the Bay Area, so it's similar. He's Northern Cal, I'm Southern California, but that's my dog right there, and West Coast babies.
Two very classy players that hopefully for LSU they are plug and play. Ty Benefiel is going to be your one of your head knockers at safety, number 2, 6'3", about 210, and Jordan Seaton, very impressive in his interview, 6'5.5", about 305 at the left tackle spot. Quick timeout. We come back, wrap it up as we give you a little Saints talk with Kellen Moore and the Saints, as they've had some OTAs. When we come back on a Wednesday edition of Tigers Roar, Buddy Sanji, Jonathan Poche, Marty Campbell, hope you're doing well. Back right after this.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremontis.com.
Few things in life are as valuable as family and peace of mind, especially when it comes to your final arrangements, and that's where Lee Serio can help. His prepaid funeral plans make sure your life will be remembered exactly the way you want it to. With Lee Serio, no detail is too large or too small. Call Lee or his wife Gretchen at 225-315-6329. Let Lee Serio give you and your family the peace of mind you all deserve.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Ready for a new truck? Then now's the time to get set and go to Team Toyota. Drive a new 25 Tacoma for just $299 a month, or get 2.99% for 72 months on a new 26 Tundra. It's time to save on your new Toyota and join the team at Team Toyota.
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
And we welcome you back here as we hand it over to JP. He gets excited with the Saints. JP, let's get right into, you get a little Saints talk, and so far the draft and looking forward to year 2 with Kellen Moore and the Saints. Give me your early opinions, and then we'll let them hear some tape. But what's your gut feeling on the Saints this year?
Yeah,
JP?
so far, got to be happy with Kellen Moore. Budman knocked it out of the park with last year's draft. Pretty much everybody they selected had an impact last season. They're hoping for the same results out of this most recent draft, starting with Jordan Tyson, that wide receiver out of Arizona State. Of course, they had rookie mini camp. They did take 3 wide receivers. It's the first time since 1989. The NFL had 12 rounds back then. But Barian Brown, former LSU wide receiver and return man, saw him have that great one-handed catch against Clemson last year that was for nothing. Referees kind of gave him the screw job on that one. But we'll hear from Coach Kellen Moore and Barian Brown right here on Tigers Roar. We'll go ahead and play that real quick, bud, man.
All right, welcome back to some football. We had 55 guys here today, so it was an awesome day. Obviously, about an hour work. We'll do one more day tomorrow, very similar, and so a bunch of good stuff. Good to get those guys out there. The thing that always shows up in this thing is they've been basically track athletes for the last 3 months, so we got to build this thing up as we go, acclimate these guys. But other than that, it was some good work. So I'll open up questions. Yeah, I think it's just acclimation to the NFL. Hey, there's obviously nuances to the NFL. They're different than college. We're trying to get a scheme introduction. Essentially, these guys are 3 weeks behind the veterans, and so we're trying to catch them up from that standpoint. And there's obviously a little bit to see those guys move around the field, but we got to set these guys up so that moving forward, they're ready to go and they can get acclimated really quickly in with our veterans.
I'm not sure we saw Christian Miller today. Maybe we missed him, but anything going on there?
Yeah, he's fine. He's just a couple of these guys, you come in and you just put guys in different levels as far as the maintenance plan just to make sure these guys are ramping up the right way. And so that's part of this process when these guys come in is just, checking in on them from a body standpoint. And so he wasn't out there necessarily doing any field work, but he'll be fine.
Did he come in with something from wrapping up in Georgia?
Yeah, no, not necessarily Georgia. He just, we just checking him out and make sure he's good. And so body-wise, we were just like, hey, we'll slow this thing down for him and put him in a good position to get ramped up.
He's here this week.
Yeah, he's here. Yep, he's been in meetings, all that good stuff. So we just limited his field exposure.
That was early on, but what do you see out of Jordan and Trey and Barry?
Bryce?
Yeah, Bryce.
Don't worry, I've done it before. All right, so so Jordan, Bryce, Barryon, speed, juice. These guys got some really good engines, so to speak, and so really good work by those guys. Good to see those guys out here moving around, and that'll be part of this process. Just get them as much exposure as they can. Excited to get those guys in with the veterans, and that'll be a really good group for us. I think the veterans, we love that group that finished last year. The pieces we've added, and certainly this draft class is going to add to that equation as well.
Jordan, what do you think about having that trio of fast wide receivers in this class?
Man, it's a good group of guys to be around, energetic, fun, and just willing to work. So, I'm glad to be with these boys.
How are you guys working early on to build chemistry and to work with one another?
One more time, please.
How are y'all working early on to build chemistry and to work alongside one another?
Oh, just hanging out. I feel like that's the biggest thing, is just becoming partners and, just hanging out, enjoying each other's presence, and having fun while doing it.
You were obviously very excited on your call, but now that the first day is in the books for you, just how do you assess today?
Man, thankful, thanking God for this opportunity, and just gonna make the most of it.
Acclimating to the league, what is that like so far? I know this, of course, a learning curve for you.
Just getting adjusted to everything. Honestly, it's kind of the same. Just feel like a freshman going into college again and meet new people and meet new coaches and everybody around. So a blessing.
Obviously, the more you can do, the better. Being a returner for a team that really needs one, how much will that help?
Man, help a lot. A guy like me willing to do whatever to help this team win. So whatever they need me, whatever they need me to do is gonna get done. Just always having that chip on my shoulder to get better each and every day, and that's in a return game. That's being a person, that's been a receiver, that's been a great teammate. Just trying to hit all the aspects of it.
I know you mentioned the acclimation, and I know it's only been a few days. What do you feel like has been the biggest adjustment in these first couple days to pro?
Just being able to take care of your business. You ain't got coaches harping on you. You ain't got school.
All right, so there you go. Barryon Brown, by the way, he returned 6 kickoffs for touchdowns at LSU, won 5 at Kentucky. He will be a part of the return game with the Saints. Hope you enjoyed it, folks. Jordan Seaton, Ty Benefield, 2 great interviews. Of course, as always, don't forget softball this weekend out at Tiger Park. Support Beth Arena and the Lady Tigers. And baseball this weekend, 6:30, and 2, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. LSU hosting Florida. See you next time, everybody, on Tigers Roar.